In this video, we're going to talk about deciding whether or not the physician's order is suitable. And where this happens is when the given dosage is that the label has a range of a minimum or sometimes just a maximum safe dosage, and you need to decide if the physician's order has violated that safe dosage range. So if it's a maximum safe dosage, the doctor's order would not be safe if the order is above that maximum safe dosage. If there is a range of safe dosage, like this one you can see, for children, the safe dosage range is from 20 to 40 milligrams per kilograms per day, then the doctor's order would be unsafe if it was outside of that range. Now, if you look at the doctor's order for this problem, the doctor's order is for 750 milligrams orally every 8 hours. So the safe dosage range is not in milligrams per dose, it's in milligrams per kilogram per day. So you can't compare the number 750 to the two numbers 20 and 40 because the units are different. So you need to make sure that when you do the comparison, you are comparing the proverbial apples to apples, that it's the same dosage per unit of time. So I'm going to go ahead and change my camera over so you can see what I'm writing. And this is exactly the same problem. So it's a little harder to read here. So let's go ahead and recognize that the safe dosage for children is 20 to 40 milligrams per kilogram per day. Now it does say in divided doses every 8 hours, and the order is every 8 hours. So the frequency isn't the problem. We just need to make sure that the dosage is appropriate. So what we're going to do is figure this out. So we're going to go ahead and consider them. We're going to do two sets of calculations: the minimum safe dosage, and we're going to calculate the maximum safe dosage. And we're just going to keep doing dimensional analysis until we're comparing apples to apples, because the doctor's order is 750 milligrams per dose, and that's every 8 hours. Okay, so that's the doctor's order is 750 milligrams. That's for a single dose every 8 hours, but the minimum safe dosage is in milligrams per kilograms per day. So we're just going to keep going. So we're going to start with 20 milligrams per kilogram per day. That's the minimum safe dose, and the maximum is 40 milligrams per kilogram per day. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the patient's weight, because we see those kilograms, so that's going to be some easy calculations there, is to take the patient's weight and convert it to kilograms. So 43 pounds over 1, we're going to multiply that by 1 kilogram over 2.2 pounds. So 43 divided by 2.2 is 19.54 repeating. And because of the rules of our institution, we're going to round that to 19.5 kilograms. So that's the patient's body weight. And we're going to multiply this by 19.5 kilograms. So what that's going to do is that's going to give us milligrams per day. So we're not done yet. We need to keep going. So let's go ahead and figure this out. We know we've got, we want it in milligrams per dose. So we know that it's every 8 hours, so it's going to be 3 doses per day, so we're going to divide that 1 day over 3 doses. So now we see that we've got it, the days cancel, and we've got left with milligrams per dose. So now we're just going to do the arithmetic. So 20 times 19.5 is 390 over 3, and that's going to be in milligrams per dose. So that's going to be 130 milligrams per dose. Now we're going to do this, and that's our minimum safe dosage. Now our maximum safe dosage, we're going to do exactly the same calculations. 19.5 kilograms. That cancels out the kilograms, and then we need to multiply by 1 day over 3 doses. That cancels out the days. So 40 times 19.5 is 780 divided by 3, and that's going to be in milligrams per dose. So 780 divided by 3 is 260 milligrams per dose. So what this means is the safe dosage range is 130 to 260 milligrams per dose. I stopped because this is milligrams per dose and the doctor's order is in milligrams per dose. So now what we're going to do is say, okay, so if we look at it on a number line, if we look at it on a number line, well, 130 would be here and 260 would be here. Where's 750 per dose? Well, that would be way out here. So it's way out here above the safe dosage range. So the safe dosage range is just along this part of the number line that goes from 130 to 260. Below here would be an underdose. In the orange, that would be a safe dose, and above here is an overdose. So this is not safe. It's an overdose because 750 milligrams per dose is not between 130 and 260 milligrams per dose. And notice how I put a lot of numbers in my work here. When you have to go and tell a doctor that they gave you an order that is unsafe, you need to show a lot of work and be very careful because they can be a little sensitive about that. Some of them are not, but some of them are. So you need to really make sure you're showing your work. Make sure you haven't made a mistake, because if you've made a mistake or you haven't shown your units or something else, you can kind of expose yourself to a little bit of uncomfortable exchanges. So I would not recommend doing that. But notice that what I said when I noticed whether it was an overdose or an underdose if I decided it's not safe. And I decided it was an overdose because the order is not between 130 and 260 milligrams per dose. Our next problem, we have a patient is an 8-year-old who weighs 55 pounds. The order is for cephalexin suspension, 200 milligrams orally every 6 hours. And we are going to determine if the order is safe, and if it is, we are going to find the amount to administer. And that's an extra 7 there. I don't know how that got there. Okay, so looking at this label, the usual children's dose is 25 to 50 milligrams per kilograms a day in 4 divided doses. So the order is for a single dose, right? That's per oral. 200 milligrams is for each dose every 6 hours, but the usual dosage, the safe dosage, is given in milligrams per kilograms per day in 4 doses. So we need to compare apples to apples to see if this is safe. Now the good news is 4 divided doses is every 6 hours. So the frequency matches up with what the doctor has ordered. Now we just need to make sure that it is appropriate. So let's go ahead and write some stuff down. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to take the patient's weight, because the safe dosage is 25 to 50 milligrams per kilogram per day. So we're going to take the patient's weight and convert it into kilograms. So 55 pounds times 1 kilogram over 2.2 pounds. Cancel the pounds. We end up with exactly 25 kilograms. No rounding required. And I wrote down the minimum safe dosage, which is 25 milligrams per kilogram per day, and the maximum safe dosage, which is 50 milligrams per kilogram per day. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply by the patient's weight, which is 25 kilograms, over 1. And that's going to give us milligrams per day, but the order is in per dosage, so we need to divide it by 4, because it's every 6 hours is 4 times a day. So it's 1 day over 4 doses. So that comes out to 25 times 25 divided by 4 comes out to 156.25 milligrams per dose. And the next, doing the same thing over here. We're going to multiply by the patient's weight, hasn't changed, 25 kilograms. And we're going to multiply by 1 day over 4 doses, in effect dividing the daily dose into 4 equal doses. And that comes out to 312 0.5 milligrams per dose. So our kilograms head cancels, our days cancel, and we got milligrams per dose. So there's our safe dosage range. So our safe dosage range is 156.25 to 312.5 milligrams per dose. The order is for 200 milligrams per dose. So 200 milligrams is safe. So let's go ahead and look at it on a number line. So if we were drawing our number line with this, the low end of the minimum safe dose, 156.25 milligrams per dose, and the high end is the 312.5 milligrams per dose. So the safe dosage range is between these two. So where does 200 fit on this number line? Well, 200 is more than 156 and less than 312. It looks like it's somewhere around here. So this would be the 200. And what's really important is not so much exactly where this is, but the fact that it's in the safe dosage range. It's between the minimum and the maximum. So it is a safe dosage. So there's one part of our answer. The order is safe. Well, we're not just going to go back up to the doc and say, hey, congratulations, you gave me a safe order. The doctor's going to look at you like you're crazy and say, so go ahead and give it to the patient. So what we're going to do is figure out now what to give to the patient. So the order is for the 200 milligrams per dose. We're not going to give the minimum. We're not going to give the maximum. We're going to give the patient what the doctor orders. So now that we know that the order is safe, it comes back to a much easier question, which is how much to give the patient. And there's 250 milligrams. See, there's our strength here. There's 250 milligrams of the drug in every 5 milliliters of the solution. And we want to give, since it's a liquid drug, we're going to give the milliliters. So we're going to make it 5 milliliters over 250 milligrams. And the order is for 200 milligrams, so we're going to multiply by 200 milligrams. And it's just 200 milligrams. Notice how the doctor's order doesn't take the patient's weight into consideration. The only reason we needed to take the patient's weight into consideration was to decide whether or not the order was safe. So now that we know it is safe, we're going to go ahead and figure out what to give the patient. So this is the amount to administer. So there's the strength, and there's the doctor's order. The milligrams cancel, and that ends up to be 4 milliliters is what we're going to give the patient. So our instructions were to find out if the order was safe, and if it is, find the amount to administer. So we confirmed that it's safe because 200 milligrams per dose is between the two, between the minimum and the maximum safe dosage. So the amount to give the patient is 4 milliliters. Why didn't we multiply by 4? Because the amount to administer is always for a single dose. This is 4 milliliters for each dose.